Today's Shakespeare's Coffee Break is brought to you by the good people at Dandy Folk, bits and bobbles for the sharp and snazzy. Hello, dear friends, and welcome. Welcome. You might be thinking, Shakespeare, why are you wearing a mask? Well, people, it's because I get a mask at Dandy Folk, and also because I don't want to die a horrible, grisly, bloody death before I turn 40 years old. And I turn 40 in 2 weeks, people, so come on, do the math here. So, Dandy Folk, bits and bobbles for the sharp and snazzy. Get your masks, get your venture hoods, and other wonderful accessories from Dandy Folk. And I want you to save $5 on keeping safe by using my special code DeathByFluffyKittens. What that'll do is save you $5 off of your order of $50 or more. Now, Dandy Folk has such wonderful accessories all over creation, and I'm just trying to find where my notes are. There it is, right there. I'm a professional, people. Now, they have hand-sewn and machine-washable masks with sewn-in polypropylene filters, and what the filter looks like is this right here. It goes completely inside your mask, goes up under. Here's everything that the filter actually covers right there. So it's nearly a mask all on its own. It has a stainless steel flexible nose bridge, and the new 3D shape of the mask's patterns provides more breathing space between your nose and mouth and the fabric. So you actually have a bit coming up right here, and then under the chin when I'm wearing it properly, right there. So you are more fully covered. You can also choose the optional silicone mask here, as the creator Sarah calls it her lipstick protector. I call it my projector. It keeps it a little further away, and I actually wear this a lot when I wear my mask out running, and I do, partly just simply because it's nice to wear in winter, because dear freaking baby Yoda, 30 degrees is not the appropriate temperature to try to run a half marathon in, and yet I do it. So go get them. Stay safe, stay stylish, because if you're a fan of the Doctor, the Wizards, the Force, the Federation, or you just want to look freaking cool, go to Dandy Folk. Etsy.com/DandyFolk, or rather, dandyfolk.etsy.com. Use my special code DeathByFluffyKittens to save $5 off of your order of $50 or more. Let us start the freaking show with that beautiful theme music provided by the Jackdaws. Because, friends, this is Shakespeare's Coffee Break, and I am your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, and I am on my coffee break. Goodness gracious, see, right there. We're on the coffee break, and we are coming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. 2 different Facebook channels, and that is a wonderful thing. Thank you, technology, for sometimes working. Today's show is a wonderful panel. It's a roundtable discussion of Renaissance Festival performers. We've got Hannah and Michael from the Langers Ball. They're joining us, or at least Michael and half of the blank screen.
Hannah will be here soon.
Who knows? We have Lee Helby, executive producer behind Life's Affair. She has such an amazing, wonderful, varied experience in the Renaissance Festival world. We have Andrew McKee, also of Life's Affair, co-founder of that, and the Irish Bard. You can find him on all the places. We have Paolo Garbanzo, mayor of Awesometown. No one actually knows why he's here. He just snuck in. We have me.
Communal duty.
We have me. And we also might be getting Susan Chicosh of The Rambling Sailors coming in a bit later. But it's a wonderful roundtable we're going to be having, talking about why we do what we do, why we take part in this amazing art form that is called a Renaissance Festival or Renaissance Fair. Depends on where you are for that. And I'd say where in the country, but no, there's festivals next to fairs and fairs next to festivals. So who knows? Who really cares? You're the winner no matter what. But we're going to have a wonderful discussion starting right now as I bring everyone on screen with a flick of a button. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you all for being here, for saying yes. But first, I have to ask, what are you drinking today? Andrew's got a cup. All right, Paolo's got a cup. Lee's got a cup. Hannah's got a cup. Is Hannah drinking a beer? What?
No, it's LaCroix.
Oh, LaCroix. Oh, look at you being very bougie. All right, very good.
Normal water.
Whoa, when did LaCroix become bougie?
Because it has the name LaCroix.
It's because of the OIX.
Yeah. Also, it could be LaCroix. I mean, if you really want to be bougie, pronounce it LaCroix, and that is true. So Susan Hill is saying all of her favorite peoples are here. Susan, by the way, just absolutely lovely. She, real quick, before we even get into our main discussion of Renaissance festivals and why we do them, I got to say, Susan Hill is just genuinely wonderful. We started as Facebook friends in a Star Trek fandom group, and then she became my fan, and then eventually my Patreon, the arts over on Patreon, has come over into Life's Affair and also and several others, becoming fans and patrons, so many things. So Susan, you're amazing, and that's why the internet is wonderful, because she's in Quebec, and it would have been impossible at points. Adam Gentry, by the way, Lee, is loving your tree pendant.
Oh, thank you. I got it at a fair.
Yeah. So if I can have everyone, please lean into your microphones if you have a stationary microphone, as I do, or just get your cup close to your microphone in one way, shape, or form, so we can have a ceremonial, nice, noisy coffee slurp, because it's just good internet audio, and that's what people are here for. Oh my God, the ASMR crowd is loving us. Oh my Lord in heaven. Oh, sweet baby Yoda.
I'd like to put a cheap publicity plug for my Krampus glass.
Are you shamelessly self-promoting, Paolo?
Krampus.
That's Friday show. That's Friday show.
Oh well,
Krampus
this is a commercial for Friday's show. It's in advance.
Oh, all right. Yeah, fair enough. I like
That's
it.
right.
I like
my lovely
your
wife,
modesty.
Madame Onsa, designed and made these glasses, and they can be yours.
Hold it so that the
at
light isn't gleaming off of it, so we can read it better. Change
That's
it.
just daylight.
All right.
That's
Krampus is coming. That is really nifty.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Our dear friend Cat Line says beautiful foil work on that. All right. Wonderful. So we had a few questions, but the first one is basically, and I'd like everyone to answer this, and I specifically asked you, don't show up in costume, because we want to talk to the people behind the characters, except for me, because I am not a real boy. Thank you, Paolo, for giving me the pity laugh.
The funny thing is that I used to be a puppet, and then I eventually actually became a real boy. That's why I was laughing inside, because
I went the other way.
Right?
I was a real boy, discovered show business, and now people offer me money to do things, and I just dance for them.
Did we switch?
I think we did. So why do we do this? Why specifically Renaissance festivals, Renaissance fairs do we perform in? And Lee, as someone who does not actually perform in Renaissance fairs anymore, you are, let's say, our fair adjacent personality on the show today. I'd like to begin with you.
All right. Well, I got my start doing Ren fairs. I think the first time I ever went to a Ren fair was 2006. And a funny thing, I've never been a patron. I showed up and was cast for a year, and then became a performer, then moved into fair management. I've worked in booths. I've basically done everything but be a patron until the last few years, which has been an interesting switch. And I was hooked pretty much from the beginning, because to me, it represents a magical safe space. That's what we're doing when we create this environment. We're creating a place where people can explore sides of their personality that they may or may not even know exist until they get there. We're creating a space where little girls can show up and see women warriors and fairies and princesses and warrior princesses, and little boys can show up and it's okay to play make-believe in whatever way they want to. And it's such a privilege to be able to be part of that world and make it happen and create that beautiful space for everyone. And I just love that everyone is welcome. I've never had anyone go to a Ren fair their first time at fair and say I didn't feel welcome. In fact, it's the opposite. We create this beautiful space for everyone.
That is a beautiful answer, and oh, what? Didn't mean to do that one. And I think a lot of us could actually glom onto that. Paolo, I'm going to switch it over to you. Why is this your chosen venue of performance?
Well, I would say that as a juggler, jugglers usually are, even if they're not at Renaissance fairs, they're already breaking the fourth wall a lot. Unless you have a Vegas act, which is what we call the act kind of style where you press the music button and you blast out a bunch of tricks. That's a Vegas style act. Otherwise, you have to do some comedy and talk to the audience. There is no fourth wall. You've destroyed it, and you were with the audience, and that is the essence of vaudeville entertainment. And from the juggler standpoint, vaudeville entertainment, that is Renaissance fairs are the last bastion of vaudeville. And at least they were in 1996, which was my first Renaissance fair. And so there was no cabaret revival that had not happened yet. And so when I was a juggler doing regular street festivals, and then someone was like, "Why aren't you at the Renaissance fair?" And I was like, "What is a Renaissance fair?" And they went, "Ah, ha, 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 ha." And they took me to the Renaissance fair, which was the Maryland Renaissance Fair. And I was like, "Oh, this is where I'm supposed to be, because the fourth wall is gone. You are interacting constantly with the audience. There is no proscenium arch that separates you from the audience. You're going in the audience. You're jumping in the audience, or at least you used to before COVID. And you're, there at no time do you put up that wall and say, the audience isn't here, I'm doing this thing. You always know that they're there. And so that's my style. That's my, that's the way I work. And so having a Renaissance fair where you walk across the entire village in character and then go up on a stage and do your show, I mean, that is what I do. And so
you don't just say, "Hey, I just stand on a stage and yell fire and people come." Because I was told that's the way to make my show happen and get people to come to it. That's all I got to do.
Well, sometimes you actually have to light that fire.
Oh, come on, baby. Light that fire.
You can't just shout fire.
Oh, fantastic.
You're not supposed to shout fire in a crowded theater unless you actually have fire.
Or if you're at a Renaissance festival, people will then go to the fire. It's the inverse. It's the inverse. It's grand. Especially on a cold day, you just start lighting torches and handing them out to people who have no business handling them at all. And you're like, "Here, Shakespeare, get warm." The Langers Ball, Hannah and Michael, why do you take part in this?
Do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we as musicians, we have a crossover, so we don't exclusively do the Renaissance festivals, but we've been playing together for 13 years, and in that time, we've been at the Renaissance festivals for 12. And we've just gravitated more and more towards them. I think, kind of to echo what the other guests, what Lee and Paula said, is that the thing about it is it's a 360-degree theater, and it is an excellent place. It's a one-of-a-kind place to perform as far as the stage goes. Everybody that walks through the gate is looking to be entertained. Maybe not by us, maybe not by music, maybe not by juggling, maybe not by whatever you're going to see there, but they're going to find something that they're going to gravitate to, and they're looking for that, as opposed to when you're out in a bar or when you're, even in a theater, anything like that. People come for various reasons. When they come to the Renaissance Festival, they know they're going to be entertained and they're looking for it. And so to have that sort of a space where you can, drop your hat in the middle of the street and do your show, or you can go up on a stage and do your show, it's really a one-of-a-kind place. Just the more time we spend there, the more time we realize we should be spending there.
Yeah, no, I love it. I used to go to the Minnesota Renaissance Festival when I was little. We didn't go every year, but my family and cousins and stuff would all go up there, and just it was just magical. And I was always a super shy child, and like I wanted a costume. But A, we couldn't afford it, and B, I was also shy and didn't want people to look at me, so I didn't want a costume too. But it's just like now I go and I see, I'm still very shy, but you're not, even though there's tens of thousands of people there, there's only like a handful of people at any given moment that are paying attention to you. So you constantly have this changing intimate audience, and you're connecting with like the one little girl that smiles at you and just kind of sees this thing that you can actually make a living playing music or acting or whatever the case may be. I love those particular moments of seeing just people recognizing the magic and dancing and just I don't know. It's exhausting, but I love it.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. It is exhausting. 360-degree theatre, but yeah, we love it. And finally, Andrew McKee, what's your reasoning, sir?
Well, my reasoning is probably a little more selfish than some of the others, honestly. I started out just loving the music. I would go to Renaissance fairs as a teenager when I first started, and I would go to every single music show, every music shop, everything I could find or hear about, and buy music books. Oh God, the number of bamboo flutes I've bought over the years, I can't even. Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, I was on a first name basis with some of the vendors there, and it would, yeah, they'd see me coming and just say, okay, here's what I have new. It was like that, and I loved it, and it prompted me to learn how to play the recorder and get into that too. It was always a fun time, and I loved experiencing it, but I never took it too seriously as far as I'm going to play music there. I never started out with that dream. It came later. It came when a friend of mine said, hey, there's this new fair opening up. Maybe we should play. And I thought, okay, that would be cool. I love the music. So we tried it, and I fell in love with it. I mean, it's sort of like, it wasn't something I expected, but I mean, it's kind of like Kermit the Frog in the first Muppet movie. I mean, it was, millions of people happy. I mean, it's wonderful. I remember doing an interview back in, when I did a South by Southwest show back in about 15 years ago. And they asked me why I do what I do. And I think the answer still holds true for this. It's imagine being up on stage with a large group of people watching you, and they're singing along to a song that you wrote and having a great time. And there is nothing like that in the world, at least for you. I've had many people in my life tell me they've never seen me happier than when I'm on stage. And I can't dispute that. So I'm going to want to do that as much as I can. And fair is a great place for me to do it because I love that type of music and variations of that type of music. And it's a win-win. I'm insanely happy and I make other people happy. So why would you not choose to do that?
That is wonderful. I mean, and I really don't have much to add to any of that for any of you. It is a welcoming place. It's 360-degree theatre. It is interactive with the audience, and it is welcoming, and it's tough. But to quote A League of Their Own, the hard is what makes it great. And also for me, it is a way to test material again and again and again and again and again in a very short time frame, in such a way that unless you are doing New York City stand-up, maybe Chicago, you don't get the chance to play that many sets in that short of a time frame, to the point where you are now potentially starting it for the very first time on a Saturday morning, and by Sunday afternoon it can be honed down to not absolutely perfect, but pretty freaking good. And I love that aspect of it, that the audience is fresh and new every 2 to 3 hours in some cases. And then some people, come and spend their entire day there. I'm asking the audience also who's watching why they go to the Renaissance Fair. And even if you're watching the show later, just send us in and we'll be talking about it a bit more. Some people, Tim McDonald said, he met his wife at the fair. And also, I have to put Sally's entire thing up here, her entire little thread, in direct connection to Paolo when he was talking about vaudeville, and it's a place for vaudevillians to get work. She said vaudeville is grey, and then gret, and then Dratfinger's great. So, so I just needed to put the whole thing in there, Sally, because I was laughing with my microphone turned off. But people go to play with sharp and pointy objects and to use their imaginations. So it is, in many ways, it is theatre that is all things for all people. So I now have to ask all of you, and try to keep it 30-second answer here. How did you get involved with this? And I'm going to start with Paolo Garbanzo.
Oh man. Okay. So yeah, I had a friend of mine who was like, "Why aren't you at Ren fairs?" And they had been going to Ren fairs forever. I had actually been performing all up and down the East Coast as a juggler doing normal festivals. And as soon as I saw the Maryland Fair, I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." I auditioned. I sent in a VHS tape, by the way. That's how old I am. Yeah. And somehow magically, despite when I met with Carolyn Spen, the entertainment director, I met her. She had a stack of VHS tapes, which, by the way, are this thick each, of just jugglers, and she was just plowing through them, like watching 4 seconds of their videos and going, and I was like, how on earth did I get this gig? But Maryland was my first real fair, so that's how I got it. And then
Wonderful.
I was absolutely hooked.
Hannah and Michael, how'd you get involved with this?
Well, we kind of got plucked out. We were playing, like I said, we were playing in bars. Hannah had been to the Renaissance Festival as a child. I had been twice in my life as a teenager, but it's never really a place that we had considered, or that I had considered being a performer. But the music director at the Minnesota Festival reached out to us. She had seen us in bars, and she said, "You guys want to come out and give it a try?" And we thought, sure. And then before that festival even happened, the entertainment director randomly saw us in a bar. We were playing near his home. We didn't know him at all. And he's like, "Oh my God, you guys should come play the Renaissance Festival." I said, "Well, that's funny you say that. We're gonna." So he said, "Well, good." And that was that.
Fantastic. Andrew.
Yeah. For me,
How?
it was,
Why? Where?
Yeah.
When?
How? Why? All those.
Who?
Who? What? When? Where? Why? Well, let's see. A friend of mine from college, Mark Gunn, who some of you might be familiar with. A friend told him about a new fair that was opening up outside Austin, Excalibur Fantasy Fair, and he knew that I loved Ren fairs. He was in a ska band before that, so he was still kind of new at that.
Hold on. We're going to unpack this. We're going to unpack this, and we're going to unpack this now. And in order to help us unpack that, we're going to bring in slight late coming to the show, but she was off doing good deeds with her mother and her aunt, Susan Chico. Oh,
Hi, guys.
From the Rambling Sailors.
I'm so sorry I'm late. How long does it take for you to forget what it's like to shop with your mother?
Let's find out.
By the time I see her, it'll be at least a year. So Mark Gunn was in a ska band. That is the impression that I get. So
yes.
I'm sorry. I'm not getting a picture.
Let me see. It was called Skander, if I remember correctly.
Skander.
Yes. I know. Okay, this
was
is
it SKN?
SKAND.
Absolutely.
I think.
Mark's gonna hate you.
This is really behind.
Did he play the auto harp?
Is that all? Yeah. Is that backbeat
I
auto
could share that music with people. I still have the cassette tape somewhere.
Did he play the auto harp in this ska band?
No. He played.
That's the only way this gets better.
He played electric guitar, and he just had started picking up the auto harp. His father played folk music, so he got the auto harp from him and started playing that. And I don't know how this turned into an Mark Gunn biography, but anyway.
This is the unauthorized version.
It really is. Yeah.
One day we'll all gather together and tell our Mark Gunn tales.
So anyway, a friend told him about the new fair, and he knew that I knew a lot about fair. He really didn't know the music very well, to be honest. He was trying to get into folk more, and this was a good outlet for him. And he said, "Hey, you wanna try this?" So we worked hard, got 6 songs together in a week, and went to a live tryout at Excalibur, and they hired us on the spot.
All right, I have to say real quick,
Cinderella story. It was wonderful.
I have to say,
Sorry.
just so many things need to be unpacked about this story. Mark's ska career, And also, he was trying to break into folk. Like, what is this? 1963, and he's Bob Dylan. I mean, come on. What is
fair? We live in Austin, and this was in the 90s. So...
fair enough. All right. You know what? You should have led with that because it's the only way this all makes sense.
Yeah. You know, breaking into folk in Austin, that's okay. Playing an auto harp as breaking into folk in Austin, that's okay too.
Oh my God! I feel like we could do the Mark Gunn story, just like finding Llewyn Davis. All right.
Yeah, actually, there's a new movie coming out about Mark Gunn. It's called Harp Hard.
Subtitled, "Seriously, guys, this is cool."
And Mark, if you're watching this or you hear about it later and you're watching it later, this was not my fault. Okay.
Mark, if you're watching this later, as always, I started this conversation about you because I'm coming for you, mate. I'm coming for you.
Hey, I tried to make auto harp sound cool.
So did Mark.
Try. Try.
I'm sorry. I think Mark made a better shot at that. You know, nobody, because he, you know why? Because the hair. He could do the hair. He could be like hitting on that harp and be like.
Actually, I give him a lot of credit because of the auto harp. He played he didn't take a lesson. He didn't look at how other people played it. He came from it playing the electric guitar, and that's how he played the auto harp. And those are the rhythms he played, and that's how he attacked a 36-string instrument. So it sounded different than how anyone else was playing it. And then I came in with more of a classical music background, and that was how our styles merged, and it created something more unique at the time. So
an unholy abomination of
it really was. It really was. And we didn't even make a contract with a demon at all. It was purely accidental. I mean, don't you hate it when you make that unholy agreement and you don't even you're not even having an agreement with somebody? You just do it anyway.
So the two of you were walking down the street, and in the middle of this long and lonesome road, there was a shiny demon in the middle of the road. And he said, "Play the dumbest instrument in the world."
I actually just introduced my teenager to that music last night.
Oh, you're a good mom. You're a good mother.
You are.
Susan Chikosh, I have to ask you, why do you perform at Renaissance festivals? Wow. And the 30-second portion of this subset inside of it is, how did you get involved?
All right. I was in the SCA, and I had just practiced up a thing that had impressed my friends. And the following week, we took a trip out to a Renaissance festival, and I was at the pub where the guy at the Renaissance festival asked people to sing, or, and a lot of times people wouldn't. So that would quiet everybody down. That was his way of getting everybody to be quiet so he could deliver a song. But sometimes people would get up and sing. I did. I sang that song, and he came over to the table afterwards and said, "Hey, you should try out at the fair. We're, blah, 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 February, to keep an eye on the papers." So I did. And that was it. That's how I got in.
And why? And why do you stay in this particular venue?
I wanted to perform at fairs. I just wanted to perform, and I did traditional music to begin with, so I was just like playing around in pubs and stuff like that. And why do I continue? Let me see. Well, because it supports me. And because for a long time, I tried to get into things with my major, which was broadcast communications and art. And don't ask me why I took those together. And I mostly ended up being a really successful temp all over corporate Atlanta in the 90s, which, involved suits and having a pleasant speaking voice and stuff like that. But the most fun I had was being the office manager for Cirque du Soleil when they were in town with Verikai. And but I realized that it really wasn't going to go anywhere, because even when I got to work with broadcast people, I found it very difficult. Broadcast people are hard to work with.
Yes. Andrew, for whatever reason, is laughing and giggling a lot. Yeah.
No, not like, come on, man. I was working at PBS. You know what nonprofit is like. Okay. Anyway, Okay, why do I do it? Give me a second. I'm just like putting the words together in my head.
No pressure.
Oh, right. Because it's the most authentic thing to do. It asks more of me. I get an enormous amount out of that, and I don't out of sitting in front of a desk wearing a suit.
Mhm.
That's why.
Perfect answer.
Hallelujah.
And as
Worst
yeah,
day at the
Pat,
fair,
I have to
still
unpack
better than the
something.
best day
What?
in a suit.
Absolutely.
Wait.
Yes.
So this musician would silence a crowd by trying to make them sing. That's freaking genius.
Oh yeah,
by the
yeah, yeah.
way.
That was his thing. What was he? He would get up. You know, he was the pub master, and here is his bit. He would get up in the pub and greet everybody. You know, it's like, is everybody having a good time? You know, because he owns the pub, so he's going around like that's his character. So he would get up on a table and just say, "Who has brought with him today a song or a story or a lie or a tale told blithely?" And everybody was like, "Who the heck? Who is this guy?" And then that makes everybody in the audience go, well, I didn't bring anything. Did you bring anything? I didn't know. It's like, is this a test? Did you? No, I didn't
That's
bring anything.
hilarious.
I'm sorry.
I'm very afraid.
And he would
of
like,
that.
awesome.
and then he would be
stealing
like, "Do you not know a song? I will teach you a song." Or he would just say, "Do this,"
Right. So it brings back.
and
oh
he'd
my
start into a song.
That's
And he
like-
had-
Brilliant.
That's like Renaissance roulette right there, though, because every now and then it's going to go off.
Yeah,
and you
you're
don't know
gonna
what's
get
gonna happen.
somebody.
Exactly. And
I-
he
What's
would
her name?
and he would frame them, and
Like,
he
what's
would
her name?
share. He would bring them up on stage. He would say, "Stand, please, and tell thy name." And that person would do so. And he would say, "Please, please, do your thing." And somebody would do a thing. And usually it wasn't very long, and everybody would applaud. And then he would go back, and it would go back to he'd ask again. Because, it's not going to be more than once or twice. And then, he had his thing. I got to say, it was a brilliant bit.
We were doing something similar a few years ago at the New York Renaissance Fair. Sometimes he was the mayor, sometimes he was the Lord Admiral of the English Navy, but we had an extemporaneous poetry competition that we would do every day, and then we would ask for people to give us what we were, just give us a topic, and we'll go off on that. And one day, a 17, 18-year-old kid stood up and said, "I can do it better than you." We're like, all right, you snot-nosed jerk. Come on. And he was tall and lanky and looked like he hadn't grown into any of his body parts yet. So I was just like, I started talking, making fun of him a little bit. I was the pimple-faced kid on The Simpsons. I'm like, "Oh, does your dad know that you're here?" But he then made up a poem that fit the meter we had declared for the rules of that particular game, fit the topic, and it was better than anything either of us had done the previous 2 or 3 weeks. And we're like,
Damn.
"Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else want to do this now?" I guess this is what the show is now. He visited.
It's all yours, kid.
He visited again one more time that season, and
Shakespeare had him killed.
No, yes, I did. Yes, I can be only one. And we saw him there. We're like, "Oh, are you coming today? Oh, we would like to feature you because this was brilliant." And he says, "Oh, I don't have anything prepared." And we're like, "Well, was that prepared?" "No, but I was just like, oh, I can do that." And we're like, "Yeah, that's literally how this works." Of just having the dumbass moxie to say, "I can do that."
I totally do that.
Yeah.
That's exactly how probably a lot of us got into this. We just suddenly said, "Hey, I can do that," and next thing you know, we did it.
It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. Honestly, I mean, it's enough things had led us up to the point where we're like, "Yeah, it seems doable," and then you get just enough positive feedback to then keep going until finally your mortgage payments depend upon you, the quality of the jokes you're telling that weekend.
All right. Has anybody considered creating a character named Lord Dunning-Kruger?
Actually, I'm forming a
No.
band called the Dunning-Kruger Effect. But the trick is making songs that are so bad they're good.
See, there you go.
And then you want to come to the show to see, do they know how bad they think they are?
But
So it's like the show gone wrong.
but the thing
Oh,
is,
absolutely.
in
Yeah.
the battle of the bands, the biggest competition has to be imposter syndrome.
Right. So like, they have songs like Sex Dungeon in My Attic, because you're like, you can't have a sex dungeon in your attic. That doesn't make any sense. But then, you listen to the song and then it actually is like, oh, wait, that actually has a funky beat and you can dance to it. But, I have a list of songs and a couple of like catchphrase, like some lines. It's going. I just need some people to join it. We are
Dance and
gonna
acting.
go down all the way down.
Like
You
it says
get
Dungeon
up.
in your attic.
my
You just need some
Sex
people to join.
dungeon in my attic.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
oh sweet baby Yoda.
Who's with me? Come on, let's do this.
I will play cowbell. Why does your wife allow you to have a Foley set right there? Seriously. Answer, I beg you.
Dude.
Come in and take his toys away. I beg you. Oh, well, we're going to have to put a pin in it for just a minute while I go and while Paolo goes and takes a pill. It starts the Dunning-Kruger effect. Auditions are going to be being held right after the show, actually. He's just going to keep this meeting open, and all of you can just loop in. I'm going to leave, but you can be... you are welcome to come in and audition for him. I need to pay some bills, though, so we'll be back in just a minute with everyone here. Because, friends, today's show is made possible in part because we have some wonderful sponsors here for Shakespeare's Coffee Break. Oh, there's everyone again. Hit the button. And there we go. Oh, right. Now, so today's show is made possible by some wonderful sponsors. And I'd like you to please support the show by supporting our sponsors, starting with Hill Storage and Rigging Company. Hill Storage and Rigging Company, no job is too large or too small. Goodness gracious, where did my ad go? I literally just had it. Oh, for the love of God. Hill. There we go. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes from knowing your equipment is in skilled and experienced hands with services from the machine movers and erectors in Middletown, Pennsylvania. Established in 1967, Hill Storage and Rigging Company is a family-owned and operated full-service millwright serving the Mid-Atlantic states and beyond. Women-owned and family-owned business with hours of operation Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturdays and Sundays by appointment only. Call them at 717-944-7676 and find them at hillrigging.com. Thank you so much for Hill Storage Rigging Company for being our longest sponsors. Renfest.org, your online directory of Renaissance festivals, vendors, and entertainers. Their goal is to drive more traffic to the sites, online stores, and social media of the Renaissance Festival artisans and entertainers, and to promote the idea of the hashtag Renfest at home, to encourage patronage while fairs are closed, and to support other initiatives such as the Digital Renfest, things like Life's Affair, and Rescue Foundation that benefit this community. To find out more, please visit their website, renfest.org. Renfest.org, it is seriously in the name. Henderson's Hearth, classic Celtic cooking for today's modern on-the-go schedules. They strive to provide healthy, easy, and delicious products steeped in Scottish heritage. All ingredients are either grown by them or acquired locally in the Louisiana region to ensure quality. Each product is made in small batches so they can ensure that your mix will exceed your expectations. Shop at hendersonshearth.com and follow them on Instagram at hendersonshearth and visit them at the Louisiana Renaissance Festival, COVID permitting, weekends going through December 13th. Tell them Shakespeare sent you. And before we move on from that, they make wonderful mixes such as the Irish brown bread mix. Amy, the owner, sent me a couple of samples. We just did this one. Holy crap, is this fantastic? Irish brown bread. And also, Henderson Soup Mix. Henderson Soup Mix is vegan. It is a vegan base, as are all of their soup mixes. So everything is good for vegetarians and vegans and meat eaters alike. And then, of course, there's just wonderful things such as mulled spice cider bags. So this is just wonderful. This is actually this is just filled with random other stuff right now because I have the bags full, so they look good on camera. Now you know how television works. Good for you, everyone. But Henderson's Hearth, absolutely wonderful. And a wonderful supporter of this show. The Daily Brew, a 365-day guided daily journal. And this one is near and dear to my heart. Full disclosure, one of the authors of this book is Off-Screen Wife's Boss. Now, have you ever started a personal journal only to give up because you didn't know what to write about? Or have you ever wanted to keep a journal but didn't know how to start, how to begin? Well, the Daily Brew Journal might be just the thing for you. The authors have painstakingly created a 365-day template for writing about your thoughts and feelings, as well as a mix of active, hands-on exercises to keep it interesting and to help you avoid journal fatigue. Studies have found that regular journaling leads to increased emotional intelligence, creativity, and confidence, gains in both short and long-term memory, help with impulse control and problem solving, and every purchase of the Daily Brew Journal allows the authors, who are all clinical mental health counselors, to give away more copies of the journal to college students who are seeking counseling. So when you buy it, you're doing a good deed, not just for yourself, but for others. So find a comfy chair, grab a favorite hot beverage, a good pen, like this one, and start journaling. You can buy it online at Target, Barnes & Noble, Abe Books, Amazon, and other providing retailers. Thank you to the Daily Brew Journal. And finally, penultimately, Dandyfork, bits and bubbles for the sharp and snazzy. And you can save $5 off of your purchase of $50 or more by using my special code DeathByFluffyKittens. Now, Dandyfork makes wonderful accessories such as reversible venture hoods, scarves, masks, and more to get you through the seasons in style. This is my personal favorite one I like to use. It doesn't match the colors of my outfit, but it just kind of goes with it, and it has just a very lovely pattern on it. Now, all of the cotton masks are hand and machine washable with sewn-in polypropylene filters, built-in stainless steel nose bridges, and comfortable woven elastic. And the 3D shape of the new mask patterns, it provides more breathing space between your nose and mouth and the fabric, while offering a good seal across the nose and under the chin. So extra space right there and right there. Save $5 again using my special code. Shop at dandyfork.etsy.com. Follow them on Instagram at Dandyfork. Dandyfork, bits and bobbles for the sharp and snazzy. And by the way, people, this isn't from Dandyfork. This is just me. Wear the damn thing properly. I mean, this is not wearing a mask. This is, I don't know, being an 18th century dentist victim. I don't know. This right here, also not wearing a mask. This isn't doing anybody any good. Wear it over your freaking nose. Over the nose. We've been at this for 9 months now. Come on. All right. Shakespeare was on a soapbox. Shakespeare soapbox. And then finally, Paolo can back me up on this one. Ren Pops! Oh my God! Do you want a toy featuring your favorite Renaissance Festival performers? Of course you do. For instance, your favorite neighborhood Shakespeare. So, Ren Pops. Go to renpops.com to download a PDF to print off onto cardstock of your favorite Renaissance Festival performers, including the Acrobatrix, Music the Gathering, Lynx Kim, the Sword Swallower, Aaron Bonk, Brune, Shakespeare, and Paolo Garbanzo. Does Paolo Garbanzo have his available?
Not with me. I just have this.
I was going to say we can make them fight on screen, but also you can pop their heads off. And once Paolo sends me his PDF, I'm going to put my head on his body. It'll be amazing and unholy. An unholy alliance.
You fiend.
I know, right? It's amazing. So go to Ren Pops. And also, if you don't want to print it out, you can buy the copy that will get mailed off to you right away. And you can also purchase them right now at the Louisiana Renaissance Festival in person if you are a creature that needs instant glorious gratification. Thank you. Thank you. I was losing the word right there. So there we go. And let's get back into our wonderful roundtable conversation about Renaissance Festival performers and why we do this. Because it's a weird art form. It's odd. It's a weird art form. It's a weird venue. All of them are a little bit different. I mean, you can't say you've been to one Run Fest, you've been to them all, because they're all so very different from each other.
They are.
True.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about the difference between Renfest and other forms of entertainment? There are, well, Well, obviously, we very seldom get mistaken for indoor theater. Very seldom, if ever.
You
but
mean
we are.
legitimate theater?
I wasn't going to say that, but maybe a little.
As a person who
but-
has a legitimate theater degree.
There's so many, and yeah, that's another thing. How many people on the Ren Fair circuit have you met who have way more, turn out to have way more degrees than you ever thought anybody would have on the circuit?
I think honestly, and I mean, no offense to carnies, but the big difference between carnies and rennies, honestly, is usually about like if there's 10 rennies, there's like 14 degrees, college degrees. And
well, I don't know that many carnies, so it's hard for me to say. But yeah, that's one of the differences.
If you have 10 carnies, there's usually like 4 or 5 goiters.
Oh, okay. Now we're making insensitive jokes.
It's like same sense of like, I don't really I want to do my own thing. I want to, but like a lot of rennies were like, well, I took a big history class and I got a degree in history and a minor in art history. And, you know, and then they went and did their own thing. So
music. Well, I think, that actually is very close to what I was kind of wanting to talk about, because that is what we get, you know, kind of occasionally mixed with. And we very seldom have people mixing from the two worlds, as far as I know. But I was trying to, I gave some thought to the idea of like, okay, what is it about Renfests that is, what makes us, you know, significantly different, like fundamentally different? And I came down to a couple of different things. One of them is, your own personal inclinations. The fact that the site is there all the time, the owners are there all the time, and that they are the ones who have the roots in the community surrounding them. Whereas carnivals are much more nomadic, and as far as I know, a bit more, it's like one group traveling from place to place with this carnival, you know, and they pick up some locals. But the big difference, we have a local cast as well. It's the local people that we hire. The people that, you know, part of it is the traveling cast, but we are the Renaissance festivals are a hybrid. There's partly a traveling cast that comes into town and they join up and partially mix with a local cast of people. And I think oftentimes about what that local cast brings, because we don't bring everything. That local cast brings a level of enthusiasm that we don't, you know, that we have trouble maintaining, because these are people who are like, it's that time of year. They're they're jazzed about it. You know, a lot of them are jazzed and they're like, oh my God, it's this time of year again. And they're just so happy. And that level of enthusiasm really it is infectious to the crowd, and it is very helpful to us and to our life, to our lifestyle. And we owe a little bit more to them than I think that we think we do. But also it lends the entire fair a level of legitimacy, because there are people that live here in this, like that live in that local area, that come and are on and off backstage all the time. And the fact that we mingle with them and we make this sort of beautiful hybrid together with, you know, the high polished skills of people who do this all the time, plus the joy and the enthusiasm of people who do this rather seldom. I think it's kind of awesome. And that's one of the beauties of the fair that we almost never get to talk about.
That's an excellent point.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing, and I think it cuts both ways too, and I think that we can all learn from each other, because we've all been local cast as well, is that the people traveling in also leave something behind with the local cast, and if you're paying attention and trying to do things right, it's making everyone better as it goes along, and it kind of builds upon itself.
Exactly.
Well, me look at that is to expand on that. I mean, it's not just cast and pro-cast or cast and performers. It's I mean, there's merchants, there's owners, there's patrons, there's, I mean, all of these people that have such a strong influence on making an individual fair what it is. I mean, imagine pick a fair and take all the patrons away and bring in patrons from another region. Would the fair be the same? No, it would be very different. And that's how much just one group affects all of that. One of those groups. Bring in new merchants that are completely different from another fair. That have never done that one, it would feel like a different fair again. I mean, it's all of them make it what it is. So I'd expand it even more that way. Sorry,
Very
I didn't mean to
true.
interrupt Lee. Go ahead.
No, that was,
Well, I was just going to say that the reason I became pro cast was because when I was cast, a bunch of pro entertainers were like, you really need to do something with this, and encouraged me. And because I didn't go into it, I started doing Ren Fair because I had a buddy who wanted to do it and didn't want to do it alone. She was too anxious about doing it alone. And I was like, sure, I don't have much shame. Let's do it. So
that is a prerequisite.
Right. Yeah. Very little shame involved in what we do. It's more about, I always like the way my cast director back then put it. You got to dare to suck, dare to be stupid.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I always thought that was the best way. But if a bunch of people like Andrew and Paul and people like you guys hadn't said to me, hey, you're good at this and you should really consider doing this in a more meaningful fashion, not just being a volunteer once a year, I would not be sitting here right now, because I probably wouldn't have realized that I could.
Yeah.
But I think it goes farther than that. I think one of the things that makes us special is that we are immersive theater.
Yes.
All these different pieces and parts have to come together. But the reason the patrons keep coming back and enjoy what we do so much is because they're part of the show. Even by virtue of being a spectator, they're still part of the show. And they can choose their level of involvement as they move around. And the way we all interact with them, whether we're on a stage or in the lanes or what have you, they're still part of the show and they get to feel like they're part of the show. And I think that's really important.
It really is. And going from the, let's say, a volunteer level position or local cast, however you want to look at it, to the professional side of it, can also have several tiers, because I came in it purely from the acting side of it. I don't have any musical skills or juggling or anything like that. For me, it's always been acting. And I started as a volunteer hanging out at the festival. I liked going to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. And then I started working for a vendor who recruited me because I happened to be loud. Go figure. and then
that's where it all began.
It really did. It really does. And then from there, I was recruited whilst working for that vendor. I was recruited by someone who's of many of our mutual acquaintance, John Williams, now of the Lords of Adventure and the New Jersey Renaissance Fair. He was the volunteer cast director, and he said, "Hey, I want you to be here." So I got fully in the acting company. Now, Susan, when you say volunteer cast or local cast versus professional cast, at Pennsylvania there are multiple tiers. And always have been. And that is, so when at some festivals where I am as an independent performer referred to as a professional cast, it always confuses me because at Pennsylvania you have your volunteer cast, which also has a couple of different tiers of level. You have your professional cast who are performing your Shakespeare shows and your improv shows and things like that, but also often has most years several levels. And then you have your independents / variety performers, sometimes called independents, sometimes called variety, depending on who the entertainment director is that particular year. And that, so many wonderful tiers of things. And on the acting, and so you will have people who are Renaissance Festival performers for years and years and years, but never be considered at some festivals professional cast or variety or independent, because they are on that acting track. And you will see them come in for a season or two and then leave and go do regional theater tour, truck and trailer shows, or Broadway or television in some cases. And so me having a professional career that is now approaching 20 years in Renaissance fairs as an actor is weird, frankly.
I have a question for everybody on that subject. Do you have a story of a patron or somebody local cast, but really a patron who just like got up and killed it, so that like they got off the stage and you were like, "Hey, do you want to do this?"
I mean, I've seen some people who I've definitely met people who I honestly thought were on the cast, because and I was like, wait, you don't work here? And I was like,
Yeah.
what? Why aren't you working here? That's only happened like one time in honest to goodness. Like I really, cause they were here every weekend. And after seeing them I really thought, we had a pretty large cast there, and it was like, oh, I thought you were on the cast. Cause you're here, like you're here when the, as soon as the bell rings and, the cannon goes off and you're there and you don't leave until the very end. I just thought you worked here. And so it wasn't until much later, but I think it's probably the only time that I was like, you're great. You should do this. And they had a great costume and they were just interacting with.
What fair was it at? Who were they?
We were at Maryland actually, and this was a million years ago. And I just, cause I was also like, this is only my second year at Maryland or something like that. But, and I was just like, oh, I really just, cause I didn't really know the ropes either, but I was like, I thought, because they had an awesome costume and they were literally there every weekend. So that was
for me,
it
happens about probably close to once a year. I have, because the nature of my show is heretofore so audience interactive that I pull people up on stage who continually surpass and surprise my wildest expectations for them to do what they want to do. Someone has an amazing cuckoo clock. Oh my God, I love it.
That's not me this time.
That's mine.
Lee, that is amazing and brilliant.
That's mine. We have a thing for cuckoo clocks and grandfather clocks in my house. So they're all over the place.
Oh, I will now ask you the question that kids always ask, like a grandparent or an uncle or an aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have it when you die?
Oh, hell no. My teenage son has already laid claim to it. He's made it very clear.
Very good.
You can have ours, Shakespeare.
Oh, all right. Yay! Wait, you're only a couple of years older than me. Oh,
Yeah, well,
damn, I might die before
that's all it
you.
takes.
You know what? I get it for 6 months and it's fine. I win.
Hey, that's motivation to stick it out, man. You got this.
There you go.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I see patrons who, oftentimes the high school or college kid, who just blow me away with the reading. And what I will often do is I will leave the stage, go sit down, and just let them continue, because they're quite often doing far more of a monologue than I'm coaching them to do in the show. And it just becomes vastly entertaining. And it's not just simply what they know, but that they intrinsically know how, sometimes through training or just that certain je ne sais quoi that you need to be an engaging performer. And at about once a year, and no rhyme or reason to where I see it, it's in Connecticut or New York or New Jersey or Louisiana or wherever, but someone will blow me away. And then I will say to them, and often the parents, they need to do this. Not necessarily Renaissance festivals, but they need to be in this business. You need to at least get a little bit more involved. And the parents are so very often are just like blown away, like, oh, you think so? Oh my God, we thought so too. But we didn't want to just be those parents of just blowing sunshine up their kazoo. So
I know I had that, like, when I was on stage, like at the Georgia Festival, I remember performing, and there was this little girl. Every time that her parents were at the festival, she was in front of my stage, and she was just a little 5-year-old girl, just on stage. She was she was a movie star. She was just dancing and moving, and she got at least as much attention as I did. And I loved it, because she was just. I'm not always the biggest fan of kids in general, but I love certain kids, and I loved this child. Awesome. So I went up to her and I went over to her family afterwards, and I was like, this girl is a performer. And they said the coolest thing you could possibly say. They went, we know, we're getting her lessons already.
Yes.
And that girl is performing at Renaissance festivals.
Nice.
That's awesome.
She is.
I actually had somebody, it was a rainy day. It was just like pouring rain, but we were still open. And we had a bunch of, I was soaked to the bone. This is when I was doing a dance show, and we all wound up inside a building with a bunch of random musicians and patrons. And, took off a couple of my top layers. I wore so many layers for that particular show. I took off a couple of top layers. My hair was just all over the place. We were just all drowned rats. And we were like, screw it. Let's have some fun. Andrew was actually there for this one. And this patron, who I actually did not know who was a patron at the time. I thought he was one of the new cast members that I just didn't really know yet, because this was kind of early in the season. He came up, he had a violin with him, and he said, hey, can I play with y'all? And we were all like, sure, why not? Let's jam. And we had I think 3 or 4 random drummers, Andrew playing a couple of different instruments. There were quite a few people there. And then this guy sat in, and he played, they started, and he just we actually have video of it, and it was so beautiful. It caught me off guard for a second. And he just jumped right in. And I didn't find out until after that he was actually a patron who had brought his instrument, hoping that he would get the courage to jam with somebody. It was just such a cool moment to have him break that barrier and break down that fear for himself. He actually wound up, I've been sitting here trying to remember his name, and I'm horrible with names. I can see his face so clearly. He wound up joining cast after that. And I know he was on cast for quite a few years. And I think he actually played music with, sat in with some of the professional groups for a while after as well. But it was just such a pure moment to have somebody get over that fear and jump in and have such a good time with us.
I love when that happens. And just when, that moment when the audience becomes the performer for a second, whenever it happens.
Yeah.
We used to have a guy that we socialized a lot with. He would come over and talk to us sometimes at pub sing, and there was this one time we were kind of doing that thing where we're like, hey, anybody else got a thing? We're kind of, in neutral for a second. There's a pause in the show. Anybody got a thing? And he was like, yeah, you guys might have a thing. And we're like, yeah, sure, get up. And this guy gets up and he does this song that I've never heard before, but I know it now because I had to learn this song. It was called Nell Flaherty's Drake. And if you've ever heard it, it's a whole series of Irish insults. It's wonderful. And he did it beautifully. He sang it, which I had only heard it as recitation since then. And he had this beautiful voice. He was just, full and very perfectly Celtic. And he got done, and I was like, and that was that moment, where he was like, hey, that was great, everybody. Hey, come here, buddy. Let me talk to you. Come here. What do you think about, would you like to, do this? And you know what he said? He was like, nah, I like drinking.
True Irish performer. Love it.
No, I want to be able to come here and do this sometimes, but also come here with my wife and get drunk. I was like, okay, that's fair.
There's something to be said for that. Now that I'm no longer performing, I no longer work at fairs directly in any capacity. It's been that way for the last couple of years, and which is bizarre, completely bizarre. But there is something to be said for getting to sit in the audience and heckle all of you. I love it. Ask Andrew. Ask Andrew about that.
He loves it. You can tell.
Horrible at his shows. I adore every second of it.
Do you show up in a Bermuda shirt with a plastic cup of beer?
I have.
Hey, is that costume real, or did you make it?
Well,
yeah.
The first
the costume real. Oh my God.
The first year after I stopped working at fairs, I actually every fair that I went to, I went specifically in civvies so that people could get the idea that I don't work there anymore, because they were so used to asking me questions that I had to create that separation. But I do garb up now.
Well, I'm going to have to, I'd say cut this short, but we've gone on for about an hour now. So I want all of you to come back, please, and thank you, to continue this conversation. I'd love to make it like a monthly talk. But one final two-part question, real quick answers from all of you.
All right.
Is this lifestyle worth it? And especially since we are in the middle of the corona apocalypse, how do we keep it alive, and what are you doing? This is your moment to plug yourselves. I'm just going to go in clockwise order. Andrew, go.
Well,
Is this worth it?
Is it worth it? Yeah. I mean, to quote Robert Frost, that has made all the difference. I mean, this is the road not taken. It's not maybe the smartest route in general or the best economic path, but the most fulfilling. Oh yeah. And I'm so glad I've done it, and I have no regrets, and I never will. As far as coping with it, everything that's been going on this year, you have to diversify. And I think that's true with most artistic things you do. You can't just do one thing and hope that is static forever, because everything changes. Fairs evolve, tastes evolve, art evolves. So you have to try different things. And if one thing has to take a break, you do some other things to get by during that. And that's how I've approached it, with a Life's Affair, with doing some online tech work, and doing some streaming of other people's shows and all of that.
Fantastic. Langer's Ball. Is it worth it?
Absolutely.
It's not for everybody, but it's for us.
Yeah.
And promote yourselves. How are you coping? How do we keep it alive?
We're trying.
Well, we're doing this. We live stream at least once a week.
Every Wednesday we do an all request show on our Facebook page at 7:00 Central Time, and we've been taking this opportunity to kind of woodshed some stuff, learn things we maybe should have learned already,
and order a gazillion different styles of T-shirt.
Yeah,
and
we're expanding our merchandise. We've been selling more merchandise, and we're learning a lot more on the tech side, so that our live streams get better. And I think even when we can get back into a safe performance space, I think we still want to reach out to the world this way, because we can connect with so many people, from our studio. So it's,
perfect. Also, you have Whiskey Sundays.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we've got a few other shows that we've been. So
the
fourth Sunday
of the month, we have Whiskey on a Sunday at 11 a.m. Central.
It's an hour long show of all whiskey songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great way to start your day. All right, Lee Helvey. Is this worth it?
It is absolutely worth every moment. Absolutely, hands down. I would not go back, as is obvious that I'm still here. And Andrew mentioned Life's Affair. He and I co-produced that channel together, and we are doing everything that we can think of. We have podcasts, we have web shows. We're going to have a lot more coming out soon, and we're doing everything we can to promote fair performers, fair merchants, and just the fair lifestyle in general.
Fantastic. Susan Chicosh of the Rambling Sailors. Rambling Rosie, is this worth it?
Fuck no. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a show right
so
there.
Much.
Roll this away. I mean, that's fine.
So much. It is foolish. It is fulfilling, and it is moreover. And I this is the part that I didn't say before. It is as far as I know, the only work that I am temperamentally fit to do. I keep doing it because they keep hiring me back. I love it. And I'm so glad that I love it, because if I didn't, I'd still be doing it.
And you have streams happening when?
Oh, no. Actually, we do not have streams. We had streams, but our particular situation with our mutual family members needing help, Greg is up in Cleveland. I am down here in Atlanta. But I can forward promote that time is swiftly coming to a close. And after Thanksgiving, and sometime around the beginning of December, I'm going to be heading up to Cleveland, finishing up my work here, because my aunt will have finished her chemo. She is doing excellently.
Oh, mazel tov.
And yay, I'm so happy. And but now my time sadly is coming to a close, and I'm going to go up to Cleveland though, and I will get to see my baby again. We get to be in the same house for all the time, just like you're supposed to. And when that time comes, we are in fact going to be together with all of our instruments, and then we're going to just pour ourselves and our instruments and our things and and all of the experiences that we've had. We're going to put them all in the same place. We're going to hit the blender and frappe and see what comes out.
Frappes are great.
Frappe is awesome.
Especially if you're a red guy that drinks frappes. Paolo Garbanzo.
Yes.
Is this lifestyle worth it?
For me, absolutely. And for people like me, it is absolutely worth it. It is a fulfilling career. Not only do I make most of my money doing this, but it's enough to to make me happy, to do the things that I want to do. I get to tour the entire world, the parts of the world that I like to tour to on a usual non-COVID related day. I give tours internationally, usually. And, so it's all connected with all the Renaissance fairs. So absolutely, if it wasn't worth it, I'd be doing something else.
Wonderful. And
speaking of those other things.
Speaking of those other things, yeah, what are you doing?
So what am I doing? We have the Nat 21 Adventures Dungeons & Dragons live streaming show that I've created, which, William Shakespeare, you're in that show.
Oh my God, this leads into my closing segue. Holy crap, man. Wow. And
it's a whole different thing that I will definitely continue. I've been wanting to kind of intermix it with all my stuff. So we do that on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. That's the live show. And then I do Painting with Paulo on Wednesdays when I can do it. At 12:30, I paint miniatures. I talk about whatever. So we just sit around and chat. And on Sunday nights, we do the haiku wrap up, which is describing what happened in the show on Tuesday in the only way that we know how, which is through haiku.
And it is a show that on at least 2 occasions went longer than the actual show it was talking about.
Also,
as a true podcast should.
The other things that I've been doing is I found my list of songs for Dunning-Kruger effect, by the way.
We're forming a band right
songs for our first album is Sexy Charity Ball. As you said, Downtown #Town, which of course that's because it should be Downtown Pound Town, but it's Downtown #Town. Dunning-Kruger's Mom. And then, of course, Sister Wife, parentheses, it's an option, brackets, in your dreams. Thank you.
Okay.
That's what I do when I'm not juggling.
That's a mouthful of wrong right there.
And everyone at home knows that, what my answer is, this is worth it. I mean, I've built my life around this idiot. I mean, I go around intentionally wearing velvet because and professionally using an English accent. I mean, what the hell, man? Yeah, this is worth it. I mean, come on. You've given me an amazing live audience at home, and everybody who's also not watching. So the ones of you who allowed this to happen, thank you very much. But so we're going to be having these conversations again, hopefully monthly, up to and including when there's a vaccine and we're able to start moving about a little bit more safely. And fingers crossed, that'll start popping out before the new year. So fingers crossed. But hey, even if it's in the springtime, it'll still be good. It'll allow us to start putting this world back together. So thank you to all of my guests today. Please follow them on all the social medias. langersball.com, theirishbar.com, lifesaffair.com, Rambling Sailors on Facebook. Do you have a .com, Susan?
Oh, yeah, RamblingSailorsMusic.com.
RamblingSailorsMusic.com. Paolo Garbonzo, find him on all the .com. He bought
all the
everything.
He's
he
everywhere.
Bought 17 of them. But follow everybody. Become a Patreon of the arts and support them when you can. Buy their albums and support live music. Buy their merchandise and support our habits of eating. Become Patreon saints and Patreons of the arts on Patreon, or just simply buy us a cup of coffee. And speaking of buying cups of coffee, you can buy me a cup of coffee at coffee.com/Shakespeare. That's ko-fi.com/Shakespeare. And become a Patreon of the arts at patreon.com/Shakespeare. Real quick, let's shamelessly self-promote myself. Coming up on New Year's Eve, it's Shakespeare's New Year's Shakin' Eve. It is my answer to Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve starring Ryan Seacrest. This is nice. Shakespeare's New Year's Shakin' Eve starring me. But featuring special guests: The Langers Ball, Chase Treasure, Drunk and Disorderly, Lady Prudence, the Court Composer, Shelley Buttons, and Andrew McKee, the Irish Bard. Possible other guests, I don't know who. Tickets go on sale this Friday. Tickets are going to be $30, but for Black Friday and all of Cyber Week, they're going to be on sale $5 off using code CYBER. And I'll have the link up. I'll have the link up for that for tomorrow's show, so you know. So you can just set a reminder and know when to buy it. Of course, tune into tomorrow's show, Shakespeare's Coffee Break. It might be Susan. It might be the episode I recorded with her. We might be talking about Hallmark movies. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know what episode is going to happen. I'm only the editor of it. I don't know. Who knows? Not me.
Anything.
But we have wonderful conversations every day, as you hopefully already know if you're watching the show. Nat 21 Adventures is tomorrow night. I'm advertising this particular show because I am the announcer for it. So 8 p.m. at facebook.com/Nat21Adventures and twitch.tv/PaloGarbanzo, because when a natural 20 just won't do, you need a Nat 21. Shakespeare Reviews is the show I do with Andrew and Lee behind the scenes, where we take different movies that are based on the Shakespeare canon in whole or in part, and we take them apart. And sometimes we decide that we hate them. But you can watch them. Shows go up around 9:30 Eastern time on Life's Affair, and then at 3:05 in the afternoon on my Facebook page, facebook.com/ShakespeareApproves. Andrew and I, and usually Lee, have a watch party where we just talk about it in the comments. And oftentimes I make fun of myself and Andrew makes fun of himself. And we just go on to conversations that have nothing to do with the movie that we're talking about, which is incredibly fun and weird and weirdly meta, because in the show, we're often not talking about the movie. We're talking about other movies.
Nice.
And in one case, I think we were just randomly talking about someone's haircut for about 5 minutes, and it was great. So that is Fridays at 3:05, and then of course at 5:35 on Fridays, but not this Friday because it's a holiday. So bugger off and go somewhere else. Shakespeare's Shameless Self-Promotion Happy Hour. It's a fun panel show where I ask you hard-hitting questions such as, "What is your favorite dinosaur?" And we ask you what you're drinking. We listen to music, and it's a grand time. So come back for that. Next episode is going to be next Friday, so the first episode of December. But friends, this has been Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I'm your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. It's been my coffee break with all of my friends here. Let's have one last nice noisy slurp for all the ASMR people.
Oh, just you, or is it all of us?
Go buy that cup from Paolo's wife. All right, there we go.
That's right.
Do it.
Hardest working
Nice.
woman in showbusiness.com.
Hardest working woman. Hardest working and underpaid.
That is the website.
No, wait. Is it hardest working and overpaid or underpaid?
Oh, you can get them on Etsy too.
No, I forget what the
Add them
URL
on
we
the
made
studio.
up.
Most patient wife in show business.
.com.
That's right. Hardest working woman in show business. You can get it through there. You'll find it.
But thanks very much for watching the show. We'll see you again tomorrow. I love you. You love me. There is mutual glorious affection. Until then, wear your freaking mask and put it over your nose. Seriously.
True story.
Andrew, cover your nose. Your nose isn't covered. Andrew, move it up. There you go, again. Well done.